So I do hear your message of gratitude to the United States, but why give it your Nobel Peace Prize? Why give it to Donald Trump?
Well, I believe it's fair, and it represents the feeling, the profound gratitude of the Venezuelan peoples, not only for what he has done, but what we believe and trust will take place very soon in Venezuela.
You left Venezuela to go collect your Nobel Peace Prize. Congratulations. You gave your prize to Donald Trump. Why?
Well, first of all, we have to understand what this has meant for the Venezuelan people, what has happened this year. It's been 27 years of brutal devastation, not only of our institutions, of our resources, of our families. I mean, a third of Venezuelan population has been forced to flee. It is currently the largest migration crisis in the world. And this has been done by a criminal regime that intentionally wanted to destroy our country and took over our territory and institutions, allied with the worst forces, criminal forces around the world. So during years, we have denounced and proved the world the degree of crimes that were committed in Venezuela and demanded for international support. Finally, we are seeing decisive action on the part of the United States government under the leadership of President Trump. And I have to say something. The only country that has risked the lives of some of its citizens for the freedom of Venezuela is the United States. So we are very grateful because what happened on January 3rd definitely opens the path, opens the way for a transition to democracy in Venezuela. That's why we did it on behalf of the Venezuelan people.
So I do hear your message of gratitude to the United States, but why give it your Nobel Peace Prize? Why give it to Donald Trump?
Well, I believe it's fair, and it represents the feeling, the profound gratitude of the Venezuelan peoples, not only for what he has done, but what we believe and trust will take place very soon in Venezuela in terms of transforming our country from the criminal hub of the Americas into the energy hub and the technology hub of our continent.
What did you get in return?
Well, I'm not expected to get nothing specific. What we are determined is to work together, not only with the United States, but also engage other democratic countries around the world into the first liberation and rebuilding of a nation that has huge potential. I want to, highlight this. Venezuela not only has, incredible natural resources, oil, gas, gold, minerals. Venezuelan location is unique from a geopolitical and economic perspective, and has huge territory. It's 1 million square kilometers with important infrastructure. So, this is a moment in which we need the world to act, not only, warn or support in words, but actual action in order to dismantle this structure. And that's what I believe it's going to take place as we move ahead.
And there's many more details I want to get into on the future of Venezuela and what you would like to see happen and what plans are being made. Let me just stick for a minute on your plans. When will you go back to Venezuela?
Well, we'll go back as soon as possible when I accomplish actions and objectives that I have in place right now. It means engaging with international actors directly, one-on-one, which I had not been able to do because, as you are aware, I had been banned from leaving Venezuela for over 12 years. And also because I believe there is a lot of organization that has to be done internationally. So I'm doing the job abroad, and as soon as I can, I will go back to a country in which many things are taking place as we speak.
Do you need America to facilitate that? Do you need American permission to go home to Venezuela?
Oh, no, not permission. But certainly I would say that we desire, we will have coordination.
And how will you know when you can return?
Well, as I said, many things are happening. There are a lot of things that I'm in the process of accomplishing, and when the right moment arrives, I will tell the Venezuelan people that it's time to go back home, and not only me. I have to say, Mary-Louise, that you are aware that thousands of Venezuelan political leaders have been forced to flee. They want to go home, and millions of Venezuelans, almost 9 million, are scattered all around the world and have a profound desire to go back home. And that will only take place. All those millions will only go back home when they are sure they have certainty that we're moving into a transition to democracy, because it's not only about economic recovery, it's basically about having trust that we will have democracy and freedom and opportunities for them and their children.
Maria Corina, I just want to ask the blunt question to allow you to respond. The state of play is that you are not in Venezuela. The U.S. is driving the agenda in your country right now. You're not there. You don't control the oil. You don't control the army. To those who wonder if you have been sidelined, what do you say? Have you been sidelined?
Well, I've heard that for years, because at the end, you usually get profound analysis and scenarios and formulas that have dozens of variables, but always leave one on the side, which is the most important of all, and that's the people. And we've come to this point because the people of Venezuela decided to be free and decided to risk everything in order to have a democratic country to which their children could come back.
But do you have any leverage from outside the country?
From outside and from inside. And from inside. I mean, I was in hiding during 16 months, and we never stopped working, organizing, and communicating. We have a network of citizens organized that were 1 million volunteers for the electoral process, and that have turned into an underground, real-time communication platform of individuals ready to act civically and moving ahead into a democratic transition, and to support this process as well.
So, Chris Wright, the U.S. Energy Secretary, was in Venezuela this week. He is, I believe, the highest-ranking U.S. official to visit since Nicolas Maduro was ousted. He met Delcy Rodriguez, the acting president, at Miraflores, the presidential palace. There were photographs of them smiling and shaking hands and a big band playing. I just wonder what was going through your head as you watched that.
Well, just think where we were 5 weeks ago and where we are right now. Everybody thought it was impossible to have Maduro face his international law, and where he is right now. So what's important to think is what Ms. Rodriguez is thinking right now after what they've said. They know, the world knows, they are part of a criminal structure. She's an essential part of the cartel. She was the one who was the architect and overlooked the torture system and the repressive structure. And she is the main link with Russia, Iran, Cuba, and so on. Everybody knows that. So we are in a process in which these the remains of the regime are following orders from the United States in a phase where they are being part of the dismantling of this regime. What we believe now is that we need to move forward into this transition once the rest of the repressive structure is further dismantled and weakened. And that's the direction in which we should move ahead now.
But I guess my question again, what is it like to be sitting outside Venezuela, watching the U.S. shaking hands and making deals and signing contracts with people who you just described as running a cartel and remnants of the regime? These are the same, Delcy Rodriguez and others, who were leading the country and crushed the will of the Venezuelan people in the presidential election of 2024.
We all know this is not sustainable. We all know this is a phase in which the restoration of institutions is just starting. As I said, it starts with the dismantling of the repressive structure, but in a country that currently is located in the last place worldwide in rule of law, the only way you can have long-term massive investments, not only in oil and gas, but in all other sectors in which Venezuela has unique and huge potential, requires legitimacy in these institutions, required constitutional compliance, and certainly the support of the people. And what we are watching, and we have fought for this very long, is a process taking place and advancing at a pace that we certainly want to move ahead and to accelerate, and we're doing our part outside and inside.
So you mentioned oil and gas. Let's stay on that for a moment. The U.S. imposed order that seems to be emerging is oil, gas, business first, and then we'll deal with democracy and human rights and free speech and all the rest of it. Do you agree that that appears to be how things are taking shape? And B, is that the right order?
Well, we believe that many things have to be addressed simultaneously in Venezuela because of the degree of destruction and simultaneous crisis we have. We have a humanitarian crisis, we have economic crisis, we have a public service crisis, and certainly a security one. So all these issues need to be addressed simultaneously. The Secretary of State has been clear in saying that these phases can overlap, and that's part of the work we're doing right now to be sure.
But in terms of the sequencing, I'm sorry to jump in terms of the sequencing, you're okay with that it's the Energy Secretary who's the first senior U.S. official to set foot that we know of in Venezuela since last month?
Well, to be clear, the first actions that actually took place were the initial release of political prisoners, and that's taking place as we speak. 480 have been released so far. Still, there are over 800 in prison, but this is huge. And we're starting to see that the consequence of this release of political prisoners is a reaction from Venezuelan society, mobilizing, gathering, demanding in the streets, something that was unthinkable a month ago, unthinkable. So we are seeing certain progress. Of course, it's not enough. Of course, we want this to move further and more and accelerate it. And that's precisely our job right now. The Venezuelan people inside demanding for, civic rights to be totally restored, because at the end, you cannot talk about a transition if you have repression. And that's what we are demanding right now. And that's what we demand from the international community to support us at this stage.
Subscribe to One India and never miss an update. Download the One India app now.